Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom, and would you believe it if I told you there was once a more hollow-feeling win in Vikings history than yesterday? I promise you.
Hey, this is Arif Hasan from Wide Left Football. I hadn't thought about ranking hollow wins despite that being in the show notes. Luke Braun won't be with us, perhaps forever?
What happened to him? I'm Julia Daniels, Care 11 sports reporter. Here's Luke Braun's replacement and JJ McCarthy's replacement. This is Bo Daniels, and we'll be hanging out with you guys for the next hour.
Bo, Jaden Daniels, one and the same.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
What's up? Welcome in Monday edition Viking Squad Show streaming on Locked On Vikings, audio on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed. Luke Braun's not here today, but check out his work on Locked On Vikings on the number one sports podcast network. Julia Daniels pinch hitting for Luke Braun today. Luke Inman on a holiday vacation. You met Arif Hasan, and I'm Sam Ekstrom. Plenty to get into. We recapped yesterday's 16-13 win on the post-game show. We will follow up more about J.J. McCarthy's hand injury, and if he doesn't play on Christmas, how we keep this thing interesting. The Vikings can eliminate the Lions from playoff contention. That's somewhat interesting. Can they do it with some more good pass defense, which has been actually really phenomenal this year for the Vikings? And yes, we'll take a little stroll down memory lane and talk about other just hollow feeling wins from Minnesota Vikings of years past. We'll also report on our gambling success yesterday in our gambling contest, which was very good for a couple of us. But we want to remind you that today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to get in the action, FanDuel.com is the place to be. Visit FanDuel.com. Place your NFL live bets all season long. All right, Julia, let's get the first word from you because we talked yesterday at length about the game and how once J.J. McCarthy went out, it kind of sucked all of the intrigue out of the stadium, out of the broadcast, out of the game in general. It turned into a preseason feel once the hand injury occurred. Now, we get good news post-game. It's not broken. He's not broken his hand, but he's also got a short week trying to turn this around and play on Thursday. This is one of the last bits of intrigue, Julia, for this season. Can J.J. McCarthy continue developing? If he's not playing Thursday, it takes a lot of the luster off this game against Detroit. Your thoughts on the injury suffered yesterday and what it means for the end of the year?
Yeah, I think watching yesterday, it was like that happened and then a snowball effect of more injuries. And we're like, so like what's happening here? And who has a voodoo doll or who did something horrible and now they're paying for it with their karma right now? Either way, they pulled out a win. I would agree with the adjective of a hollow win. Yes. This Giants team has 2 wins this season. You know, it should be for a team like the Vikings a blowout, but I do think this whole year has been about finding identity, right? Like, who are we? It's happening. We're all on this. They've taken the Vikings fans through an entire journey this season. I will say the question of how do you keep Vikings fans interested if JJ McCarthy's not playing this week? And it's as simple as you switch the narrative from JJ McCarthy if he is eliminated from the picture this week, and you switch it over to, wow, what if Max Brosmer led a team to defeating the Lions when they needed to win the most? You know, the narrative always changes. Vikings fans are, let's be honest, they are some of the most loyal in the league. They're not going anywhere. They're always going to be interested to see what the Vikings. It's a form of punishment for them sometimes, just because they have to. It's in their blood. It's who they are. But I do think that the narrative changes from obviously the J.J. McCarthy story, seeing how he pans out the last couple games of the season, into what can the Vikings do without the guy that they're planning. I mean, unfortunately, this is something that Vikings fans and people that cover the Vikings like me have it's a narrative that we've dealt with a lot here recently of once your starter's out, the guy who's supposed to be the guy for you, now what are we focusing on? And it always usually comes out to, I know we've already seen Max Brosmer start a game and it wasn't awesome, but it still is the narrative of, and people are still interested. And also Max Brosmer started one game, and it was against the Seahawks. Was that the Seahawks game?
It was
the
Seahawks game.
26 nothing.
Yeah, that was brutal. And
like a top 3 defense, yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to me if JJ McCarthy doesn't play on Thursday to see how Max Brosmer kind of settles in. I remember his first start as a Gopher was not amazing, not even in the very least. But he did settle into that spot. And if that's what it comes down to, I think Vikings fans are still going to be intrigued to see if Max Brosmer can do something against the Lions, especially because it's a division opponent too. And there's something on the line for the Lions as well.
Yeah, correct. Lions eliminated with the loss. I think the Brosmer angle, Arif, it's a really nice stocking stuffer. It's not the big under the tree.
Right.
It doesn't maybe have the most glitter or glam or the most long-term ramifications. It would be cute in the way that like Joe Webb beating the Eagles on a Tuesday night back in 2011 felt, right? A very cool one-off story. Now, Max Brosmer play his way into like QB1 conversation? Probably not, but it's something to hang on to. It would be very, very cool against your division rival to do that if JJ McCarthy can't go.
Yeah, I think in terms of like generating interest to get people to tune in the first place, the Brosmer angle is a pretty tough one, but it does produce a bunch of really great stories during and after the game to talk about. Like if he has that Joe Webb game, that's incredible. That's just, we still talk about the Joe Webb game, right? Like that is just a part of Vikings lore in history. Like there's obviously a bunch of weird, unique circumstances. Tuesday night, it's like snowing. Michael Vick is on the other side, whatever. But this one also has like a Christmas game where you get to eliminate perhaps like the most annoying team, not the most hated team, but the most annoying team kind of in the division, right? Like there's like a lot of antipathy that's like built up against the Lions over the past couple of years. And I think this would be kind of a fun way to send them off. So certainly it'll create a bunch of stories and narratives, especially if Brosmer plays well, but to bring people into the door, to get them to turn on the TV in the first place, I don't know that there's anything you could do with the Brosmer angle, but I do think, I don't know, man. It's fun to ruin other people's dreams, right? Like I just feel like, and maybe I'm particularly cynical. I don't know. Julia made a point before the show that maybe I cultivate a particular type of audience, but I do think that not incorrectly, by the way. Julia's right, but I do think that kind of a spite-fueled advertising campaign for this game would go really hard. I think that forcing Jared Goff to have like a bad game against this defense, kind of the one we're going to talk about the Brian Flores defense in a second, but like that's like a kryptonite of the Brian Flores defense is what Jared Goff does consistently against it. Being able to kind of just put him away or something like that would feel so good. And so to kind of generate that storyline when the Lions are reeling, when they haven't been able to like kind of live off of like some incredible luck like they did last year as they were dealing with a ton of injuries, that would feel, I think, pretty outstanding. So I think that's how you get people in the door if that's something that, is like important. Like it's like critical to get people away from their family and into watching the game.
Listen, honey.
Or with the, you can watch with the family too.
Listen, honey. I know this is our first Christmas together. However, I have to see Max Brosmer play today.
Look, if the Lions lose, they're eliminated. You understand, honey. You understand.
You understand. You get it, right?
Yeah, also, my name is Ron Johnson.
Yeah.
Let's do that thing where we guess the spread. What do you think FanDuel has?
Lions are not in a good spot. I'm going to say, which is not this. I mean, it's Max Brosmer, right? I'd say 5.5 favorites for the Lions.
Julia, over under that.
I would say over. I'd go 6.5.
6.5. Unbelievable poll by Arif Hasan there. He nailed it. It's 5.5. Julia,
let's go!
I set you up. That was a losing proposition for Julia. 5.5 on the nose, favored on the road at US Bank Stadium. I think you show up for Justin Jefferson as well. I think that Justin Jefferson's pursuit of 1,000 yards feels a little bit Mike Evans-y, right? Mike Evans, he's losing the streak this year, but he had like the 10-year run where a couple of those years he had to sweat it out in week
on the final game or the final catch last year.
Final play, that was unbelievable. I think
loved
that's
it.
part of the story.
How many is Justin off?
Like 83 or something like that?
83 yards.
It's got to be below 100 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday put a dent in it. He needs 42 per game the next 2 games to get the job done. I think that that's super doable for Justin Jefferson.
He also said that that's really he did say that that's important to him too. It's something that he's definitely trying to get done before the season ends.
Oh, the way he was running with the football yesterday, it sure seemed like it. The Giants couldn't wrestle him to the ground.
It would be kind of an awkward situation if his first 100-yard game in like 11 games with the Brosper instead of McCarthy.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? It would actually be such a microcosm for the entire season.
Right, yeah, it would be perfect.
What are your what is your alarm ranking situation, Julia? I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like 4 injuries in 10 games for JJ McCarthy. 1 preseason game, 9 regular season games, 4 injuries. We've got a hand, an ankle, a knee, and a concussion. Does that worry you, giving him the keys for next year? I mean, that it only reinforces that the backup quarterback situation is maybe your number 1 priority this offseason.
Yeah, no, 100%. This should be a huge red flag for Vikings fans. Listen, you it's like if you're gonna date somebody and they keep different things keep popping up, and all of a sudden it's like, you would be a little bit, I feel like you should be a little bit alarmed, right? Going into the situation, deciding whether you're going to commit to this person or not, right? That's how everything else works in life. So I would say, yeah, absolutely. At this point, you said 4 injuries, is that right? 4 injuries this season?
Four
3
going
this
back
season,
last year.
4, yeah.
4 including. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
that's
also
a lot.
kind of had a hand thing earlier this year that didn't knock him out, but second hand issue.
It is more than you see on just about any other team in the NFL when it comes to their starter. I would say, while it's not JJ McCarthy's fault, he's, at some point you have to be like, do you know how to protect yourself? Like, do you know?
Right.
Because also, like, your body and your brain is worth millions of dollars to this organization. And you do have to learn how to protect yourself as a quarterback. It's just, and he does. I mean, they talk about, either he's getting praised for it or he's getting ridiculed for it. The way that he goes into, taking sacks or running the ball, and he's not sliding. He's going head first into everything. And so you have to have a conversation with the young guy who's very eager about reeling it back in and also being strategic about things too, because that is a huge part of being a quarterback in this league. And so, I would say there should be some alarm bells going off here. I also think it's something that maybe Kevin O'Connell hasn't really had to coach a quarterback about, because he's dealt with veterans mostly when it comes to quarterbacks in this league. And so maybe that's just a page they haven't gotten to yet in the textbook of teaching JJ McCarthy how to be an NFL quarterback. And so, but it has to be addressed at some point. It does have to be addressed. And you can't, if you want consistency, which is what they've been preaching, I mean, even before they were knocked out of playoff contention, is consistency. You have to have somebody that's going to be healthy through everything. Otherwise, there is no consistency. There's no way to be consistent if the same guy isn't out there every single week, or at least 80 to 90% of the season. So, I would say alarm bells should be going off. That needs to be something that is taken into account when they're looking into the next season and building their team in the offseason.
Yeah, Kevin O'Connell said he thought the injury occurred when he dove into the end zone on the touchdown run, and that would have just added to the narrative that, man, this guy can't run with the football. Fortunately, not the case. Looks like he hurt the hand on a defensive lineman's helmet. And then, Arif, did you see Kevin Seifert's post this morning? I don't know how we all missed this. I missed it at least yesterday. He clearly tried to ground the ball, and because of his grip strength, he couldn't actually, he's double pump. He's trying to make the ball go down, and
He's
it's
like
just it won't leave his hand. Yeah, it's stuck to his hand.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I think this actually takes McCarthy off the hook in some way because he did try to make a good decision with it. And also, he didn't get himself hurt on that play. It was just an unfortunate side effect of the injury that had already happened.
Yeah. Okay. We did talk a little bit about this on the postcast, but I think my reaction to it is that, like, my gut is fighting with my brain on this one. Like, instinctively, I'm like, this is like a problem. We have to like think about this, and like the availability is really important and stuff like that. But like, to Julia's analogy about like you're starting to see someone and they keep flaking. But if they keep flaking for like a pretty legitimate set of separate reasons, like, oh, there's a family emergency and you can confirm that. Oh, they slammed their hand into a car door, they have to go to the hospital, and you can confirm that, right? Like, if they have a bunch of emergencies that they and you're like, okay, this is really disappointing and I kind of want to see you, but I get it. Like, you have to figure out how much of this is a pattern and how much of it is genuine, because the problem with like injury proneness is that when it is historically repeatable, it's usually something similar, right? Like, if you get like a patellar tendon injury, right, and then next year you get an ankle injury in the opposite ankle, or in recovery you do, like, those are related, right? Or you get successive collarbone injuries, those are related. These are not related injuries, and I also just don't think like he's like a brittle boned kind of guy. He wouldn't have been a 3-year starter at Michigan that's been in multiple college playoffs, right? If he was like a brittle boned kind of guy or whatever it is, right? Like, I don't think that there's anything inherent to him that makes him more injury prone, aside from the fact that he seeks out contact and doesn't necessarily protect himself. I will say this about that too. Like, one, Kevin O'Connell does sign up for quarterbacks that like do absorb a lot of contact and stare down the barrel of the gun. Like, even though like Kirk Cousins didn't run a lot, he would wait until like the pass rusher was like bearing down and then get rid of the ball. Or like Joshua Dobbs' whole everything, right? Like that is the kind of quarterback he's attracted to, because he wants toughness in quarterbacks. So that's a difficult conversation to have when like that's the guy you're recruiting all the time. And then the second thing is, there is kind of like, and it sounds like the Vikings are actually on McCarthy's side on this one. There's kind of a debate about whether it's smarter to slide or to dive head first, because you've got more control when you're diving head first about where your head is going. And so, and like, there's like some studies on it. This goes all the way back to, I think Spielman was talking about it with Teddy Bridgewater, like way back. Like, or no, Christian Ponder. It was about Christian Ponder, about whether or not to dive or to slide, because he was strangely bad at sliding despite having a baseball background. Like, so like, there's like some interesting stuff there too. And I don't know, there's like a debate, but the injury proneness to me is like frustrating. And I want to say this is a long-term concern, but I just, aside from the fact that he seeks out contact, I don't know that there's actually anything there that would suggest that this is repeatable. In the same way that Matthew Stafford had a bunch of injuries early in his career and then was like an Iron Man for like the next 12 years until he like died this offseason and then came out of the immortal chamber in MVP. Aside from like that, right? Like, he's had a long career of durability, and sometimes we see that with quarterbacks where they get injured pretty early. Like Drew Brees got, like, his whole thing was that he was injured early in his career, and then he was like durable for a very long time. It could be something like that.
I think there's also a possible compromise here where McCarthy doesn't play week 17, but does play week 18, and we get one more week of JJ McCarthy before this is all said and done. He's got 72 hours. Got 72 hours to get the hand massaged, to keep it in the brace. Probably not going to practice. Show up on Thursday, beat the Lions. We've got nerdy stats when we come back, plus a look at the last 6 weeks of the Vikings pass defense has generated a very cool stat. Get into all of that next on The Squad Show. Car Gurus brings us today's show. Car shopping should feel exciting, not confusing. I recently just car shopped around Thanksgiving. Got a new car. With Car Gurus, you get the confidence you deserve. They cut through the noise. You actually see the best deals on cars you want. When it comes to a big purchase, you deserve the best deal. And tell you what, it is so important to feel like you're informed about what cars are available. Car Gurus makes the whole process simple, giving you real information, real deal ratings, more listings than anybody else. Shop the way you want. Use Car Guru's deal ratings to compare cars quickly without having to guess whether the price is fair. Price drop alerts, lifesaver. Don't have that stress. Get notified the second a car you're watching becomes a better deal. I promise you that'll give you a lot of peace of mind. Car Gurus connects you with trusted dealerships for a transparent, hassle-free buying process. With over 4 million listings, the most of any major online automotive marketplace, you'll always find the best deal. Shop the way you want with the tools, data, and unbiased deal ratings that make it easy. Buy or sell your next car today at cargurus.com. That's CARGURUS.com, cargurus.com. Viking Squad Show rolls on. Arif, Julia, and yours truly, Sam Ekstrom. Locked On Vikings with Luke Braun. Make sure you're tuned in and subscribe to that on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed. Let's give you some nerdy stats.
Analytics fans rejoice.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
It's time to get educated.
Whoa, you're blowing my mind right now.
With the nerdy stat of the day.
Julia Daniels, are you prepared with a nerdy stat on this Monday?
I'm semi-prepared, but I feel like mine's pretty interesting.
I'm into it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, so we all know about the 13 net passing yards that the Giants had on Sunday.
Outstanding. Yeah.
Oh, so good. So good. So here is what the numbers say about that. This is what I was looking at. With 5 sacks for negative 20 yards and only 1 passing first down, the Giants' air game was actually detrimental to their EPA on Sunday. So their passing attack cost the team their expected points rather than gaining anything for them. So had they just not done anything for the air.
They were just spiking the ball.
Yes. They would have had a better outcome more than likely against the Vikings. Isn't that something?
That's outstanding.
So tell Jackson to not do that anymore.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that because my nerdy stat is similar in spirit, because I accused the Giants on the postgame show, Julia, of straight tanking the game. I mean, I thought their offensive approach
You
was
did receive
so
pushback for that. You did receive pushback.
cowardly.
They are just bad.
Yeah, in fairness, I did. I'm sticking to it. I'm not going to
One
back.
guy was like, "Ooh, a young quarterback. Let's kill him."
The offensive line was like, we don't really like this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't. We're not into that.
No, Cam Scatterby was not here to entertain him anymore. So
Yeah,
No Scattaboo, no Neighbors, no Dable. Let's tank. So Jackson Dart had 7 or fewer completions with over 45 snaps played. That's only happened 21 times for a quarterback. Oddly enough, 10 of the 21 won the game. So that means maybe their defense scored for them. Maybe their running game was unbelievable.
And this was with a minimum of 45 quarterback snaps?
Plays run.
So that includes passes and when they run the ball or something like that.
Right. So basically, yeah.
crazy.
Jackson Dart had the second lowest yards per attempt of anyone in that group. Only Mike Glennon. Mike Glennon had a worse day. And I also enjoy
NC State legend.
NC State, that's right. They also rank those performances by fantasy points earned.
Sure.
And Jackson Dart had 0.02 fantasy points in yesterday's game.
I'm glad he ended up positive.
If you're starting Jackson Dart on your fantasy team, you deserve that.
You're in a sicko league. You're in a 24 teamer. And
we don't gotta talk about the leagues that I'm in. That's unfair. No, Dart. I do have Dart. He is on my bench, so I'm good. But
he's on your bench where he belongs.
Yeah. So first of all, that is an astounding stat. Second, I was looking for, because I had reported this last week. I was looking for whether or not JJ McCarthy would throw over the middle of the field. because over 2 weeks against the Commanders and the Cowboys, he's throwing all these out routes, right? And they are seeds, right? There's a bunch of really great throws in there. But he hadn't thrown between the numbers between 10 and 19 yards down the field. So in the intermediate range, not between the numbers, which is half the size of the field. It's a 53 and a third yard field. It's 26 yards between the numbers. That's huge, right? And so to not take advantage of the middle of the field unless you're throwing it way deep on like a post route. So he didn't do that except one time against the Commanders or the Cowboys. So I wanted to see if he did that in this game. And he did not. He did not throw between the numbers between 10 and 19 yards. Which means that over these 3 weeks, where we would argue that McCarthy has somewhat revived, the fan base's hope in him, that he has genuinely played a lot better because he's not thinking about his mechanics, right? That he has, thrown at all 3 levels of the field, that he's throwing on time, all of these elements that are net positives. I don't want to take away from the fact that it's a positive. This is such an interesting thing. 1.6% of his pass attempts, all aimed passes, so I'm not including sacks or throwaways or anything like that. 1.6% of his aimed passes are in that range, which is the range that if you take a look at all other similar sized boxes across the NFL field, is the range that most quarterbacks use most often, right? The intermediate middle of the field is some of the most valuable real estate that you can have, and is also something that he did a lot at Michigan, which makes it really fascinating. So at 1.6%, he's the lowest in the NFL over the past 3 weeks by a significant margin. The next lowest is 4.5%. And it's someone you don't care that they're not doing. It's like Josh Allen, right? You're oh, whatever, you're fine, right? Yeah. But everyone else it's around 11 to 15%, which is the NFL average of that target area. And it's also one of the most difficult areas to read the field and throw. These outs that he's throwing are more difficult throws, like the 20-yard out to Jordan Addison or Justin Jefferson or whatever. Those are physically more difficult throws. But in terms of your eye seeing what you need to see and getting the ball to where you needed to go, that's the most difficult area of the field to diagnose. It's not a deep ball where someone's open in one-on-one. It's not like you're reading smash, like a corner flat. It is really valuable real estate that he's not using. And so that's probably going to be his next area of development. If he can play fast and loose like he is for the past 3 weeks, but in areas of the field where you're not playing late career Russell Wilson when you're only taking advantage of the sidelines.
Kevin O'Connell's write that down. Quickly.
Feverishly taking notes.
Yes.
I'm glad he listens to the show.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin.
I've
got one more nerdy stat. Arif, you're really going to love this. Okay, so Jalen Redmond on pace for 37.4. We'll say 37, round down. Or round up, whatever you want. 37 to 38 pressures this year. Is that more or less than Sharif? 30, yeah, per PFF.
Wow.
Low or high?
That's high for especially his rotation. Yeah.
So I'm asking you, is that more or less than Sharif Floyd at his peak?
Well, I mean, Sharif Floyd had an 8-game peak. I don't.
More. I'm going to say more.
I think the only reason you would ask this is if the answer is more,
what I think.
right? But man, Sharif Floyd was so good when he was good. So good when he was good. I'm going to go with more just because of the nature of the question. But man, Floyd was great.
It is more than Floyd. Floyd peaked in 2014 with 30 pressures. 30 pressures that year. Now, how about Linval Joseph at his peak?
That's he's not a okay. I'm curious because he generated more pressure with the Giants than he did with the Vikings. I thought this is interesting. He had to learn. Zimmer had to tell him to relax in terms of pressure production. So, man, I'm gonna go. This is more. This is more than his peak.
That is also correct. 37 for Jalen, 34 for Linval. Wow. 34 was his most as a Viking. I've got 2 more.
He's Sheldon not to go back to the XFL.
Imagine if he was hey, this NFL thing is it's fun and
it's
all.
It's been fun.
I want to dominate even more than I'm dominating, so I'm just going to
go play for AJ McCarron in the Birmingham Bears.
Right? Yeah.
I want to be a big fish in a small pond, actually.
Yeah.
Sheldon Richardson either stint with the Vikings, so 21 or 18, more or less?
That was
Less.
kind of disappointing. I mean, Richardson was a pressure. Let's go with less. I'm more. It's less my knowledge of the players and more me guessing at the psychology of the questions.
Me too.
I'm going to go with less.
Richardson had exactly 37 in his second stint, but he had 47 in
There we
his
go.
first stint in 2018.
There we go.
So Sheldon,
Dude,
more.
we're reading him like a
We're
book.
on a
That's what's happening.
roll. Yes, you know what you're playing at.
And I'm not weighting this on a per snap basis. I would guess Jalen is more efficient.
I'd
But we're
probably.
just going to raw,
Richardson
raw
had a
data.
ton of snaps. Redmond didn't get a ton of run until like week 4, week 5. Yeah.
Last one, Arif, you're gonna love this. Thomas Johnson.
Oh, Thunder Bucket. Okay. So,
No one's ever called him Thomas until that moment.
Yeah. So Sebastian Thunderbucket. I think no. Tom Johnson was crazy. I'm not going to do that. Tom Johnson way more.
Tom Johnson had one season where he got above 35, and that was in 2015 with 57
Jeez.
pressures.
Look at that. He was another spring leaguer, right? Like he did spring league, and then he went to the Saints, and then he went to the Vikings.
Yeah.
Woo.
Didn't really emerge as like an NFL talent until he was like 30.
Yeah.
And then he was really, really good.
Astounding story, right? And then he got shot at Crave or something like that. No, he got arrested at Crave. Someone else got shot there.
Linval got shot.
Yeah.
Man, that's a tough stretch there.
Yeah, and then they drafted the guy from Pitt who got shot. Jeez.
Jalen
defensive
Twyman.
tackle. Yeah.
Jalen Twyman. Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah.
Sorry. The Vikings, yeah. Let's move from tackles to secondary.
Mm-hmm.
6 straight games, the pass defense has not allowed a touchdown. We'll dive into that and the genius of Brian Flores next. Brought to you today by FanDuel, FanDuel.com, FanDuel Sportsbook. So many options at your disposal. And in fact, the Christmas Day game, you've already got props there for Vikings and Lions. The receiving props, passing props, minus McCarthy. So it's all there. You know what else is available? Live betting at FanDuel.com. It makes the game so exciting because you kind of try to feel it out. You know, is this the time when the trend is going to kick in and we can capitalize and hit that next touchdown score at plus 800? That is so much fun. The live spreads, live money lines, live over-unders, live player props, all available. FanDuel.com, FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's not just football, it's basketball as well. It's hockey. Minnesota Wild red hot. If you're going to be in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com. Place your NFL bets, live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, Julia Daniels, Care 11, and Bo Daniels as well, who people in the chat are surmising that it's a combo of Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels.
It is most certainly not a combination of both.
Yeah,
the Auburn quarterback.
Yeah, I was about to say, would Julia name after an Auburn quarterback? Like that was my first thought. Like no shot.
Absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Also, it's spelled differently, so no.
Oh,
glad
so
you could put the rumors
it's
correct.
very Louisiana, is what I'm learning.
Yeah, this is BEAU, not BO.
But no X, not B.
And the Daniels comes from me. What are you guys talking about? Not Jaden. An LSU quarterback? You guys don't know me at all.
I only know them as Arizona State and Oregon quarterbacks. I don't know what you're talking about. Did they play in the SEC? That's crazy.
That's crazy. Well, Jaden Daniels did win a Heisman in the SEC, so there's that part. Bo Nix, on the other hand, was terrible at Auburn, but I don't know if that was him or if that was his coach.
Julia, do you want to take 15 seconds to gloat about Alabama quick?
Yo, let's go. My favorite thing, let me have these few seconds. My favorite thing was waking up on Saturday morning, and Twitter knows exactly what I want to see, right? Because it's creepy like that. Right. And I get on there, and it's all Notre Dame Twitter, and they've all tweeted during the first half of the
right, because they were
Oklahoma
down
game.
7. Oh my God.
And it's nobody's deleted anything. I was like, delete. This is embarrassing for you. Delete this. And they're like, unbelievable. Like, this is why Alabama shouldn't have been in here. I mean, it was like in-depth stuff too. And I was like, this aged like milk on the counter for a few days. Like, this is, but it was like feeding my soul. You know, I woke up and I was like, the sun is shining and we beat Oklahoma and we continued our streak of not losing to the same team twice in one season since like 1893, I think, is the last time that happened. And it was against a random Birmingham college that doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, it was great.
I feel like Alabama could pick their one win against Georgia a little bit more appropriately if they did that next time.
You know, but we do this with Georgia, though. The past few seasons that we've played Georgia, it's the trade-off. That's what I said. I said, if we beat Georgia in the regular season and we face them in the SEC championship, we're going to lose to Georgia in the SEC championship. And it never fails. That's how it always pans out for us. So we lost to Georgia 2 years ago in the regular season, and then we beat them in the SEC championship. So
it warms my soul that in this Christmas season, like a little upstart program like Alabama can enjoy some success.
Yeah,
I know,
no
right?
one believed in them. That head coach everyone hates, right? So
I will say, this is like the first time in my life where people are like, I don't know. There was no confidence for people with Alabama going into Oklahoma, and I was like, this is a new space for me to be in as an Alabama fan. But I'm happy to be the underdog if we're gonna win. You know, at some point.
It's the least rootable underdog I've ever seen. But yeah,
I know. But you know what? I don't care. Everyone wants to talk about Alabama and talk about them, and they do that, and then I just go, I don't care.
Since we've gone down this road already,
Sorry.
Do you want to guess the spread? Alabama, Indiana.
Ooh. No, I don't want to guess.
Arif is like a savant, so he can take care of it.
No, I don't know anything about college football. Okay, but I'm a Cignetti stan as an honorary JMU alum. I'm a huge Kurt Cignetti guy, and I believe the books have finally come around to my point of view. So I'm gonna say, I think it's probably really close, but I'm gonna say 3.5 Indiana.
6.5 Indiana.
6.5. Wow.
Just fueling that underdog narrative.
Wow, that's crazy. No one believes in Ty Simpson, which is fair.
Okay, yeah, he's like he was good for 80% of the season, and then he absolutely wet the bed week 1, and then in the SEC championship, and he looks like he doesn't know what's happening.
Yeah, that was crazy. That just started. He was in the first round of a ton of mocks in the first half of the season.
Yeah, and then it's like he's having like a mental breakdown out there. I don't know what's happening. Honestly, though, this is like so classic Alabama quarterback. I know we're getting off topic here. Jalen Hurts did it. Jalen Hurts did it like the entire time I was in college. It was like, what is going on with this guy? Because he like lost.
He was fine at Oklahoma.
Yeah, he was fine. He was so good. His freshman year, he was 17 years old and he took us to the national championship game. And then after that, it was like, what happened? What's going on here?
We did get the iconic "not gonna do it" clip from all of that stuff, though.
Right? Oh, I know. Nick Saban talking to Maria Taylor. Yeah,
that was great.
So quit asking.
Quit asking.
You guys keep wanting me to talk down on one of my quarterbacks, and I'm not going to do it. So quit asking.
Julia can just turn on the twang when she wants to.
This is great.
I love that guy.
We got to replace Luke more often. Is my
yeah, this is way more fun. But you picked your Luke, right? We're Luke-less today, and I think we're better for it. The Vikings secondary, and I'll just speak about the defense in general.
Mm-hmm.
In the meaningful part of this season, kind of felt disappointing. But they are going to mess around and end this season with and they will have been undeniably pretty good. Like they're up to their 12th in scoring defense, 5th in yardage defense, 2nd fewest number of passing touchdowns allowed, including 0 in the last 6 weeks, 9th in yards per attempt against, 1st in red zone defense, and 5th on third downs. Some of that's against, Jackson Dartish quarterbacks, not all of it. There's legitimately, Julia, some really cool stuff happening. with a secondary that is regularly playing Fabian Moreau. Like, let that sink in. They're doing this without now Josh Metellus. They've had, like, the second safety has been in flux. Theo Jackson's been hurt. Harrison Smith is, maybe not what he used to be. And yet this pass defense has actually been really good here in the second half of the season.
Yeah, it's like we were always talking about the cornerback room, and now it's like, why were we talking about that? Because did it really matter in the end? Yes, it did.
I'm not confident the cornerbacks matter in this defense.
That's what I literally was just when I was looking at the what we were going to talk about today, and then when I was thinking about it, and you had mentioned the Brian Flores defense, I was like, for as much as every single one of us, guilty as charged, talked about so you guys are what move did they make where it was really dwindled down that cornerback room? And we were like, this is the one room you shouldn't be taking from, but we should have trusted Brian Flores a little bit more, because he was like, listen, I don't need these guys. He's like, I did that on purpose because I know what's going on and you guys don't. And it's true. I mean, Byron Murphy had how many interceptions last year? And now it's we don't hear his name ever. And Nudie keeps going on and off back to roster. And it's okay, it's just so that you guys can have 11 people out there. Sure. They're like, all right, somebody who's wearing purple.
All
right.
You super need a body. We all agree.
Right. Get on out there. But you know what? We have safeties that are going to do your job for you. So you don't even have to worry about it. And that's just kind of how it works. I mean, they started out with it being Josh Metellus is a Swiss Army knife, but now it's all the safeties are carrying the second
positionless football.
Yeah.
It did matter in two games, right? When the pressure couldn't come home and turn the pressure into sacks against Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts. And those were all all of the big plays happened after the 3-second mark of each snap. So that was just hey, Grenard, which hey, hope you get better. But when you get there, you gotta bring that guy down.
You have to be more accurate, less worry.
Yeah. But I was looking at this before the show because in a rare moment of compliance, I actually read the email that Sam sent, and I wanted to look at the relative performance that the Vikings have had against these quarterbacks. And so of the 14 games, right, 3 quarterbacks have had above average performances for themselves against the Vikings. 5 quarterbacks have had their single worst or second worst performance of the year against the Vikings. So only 3 quarterbacks have been above average at all. None of them had their best game against Minnesota. And 5 of them had the worst games they've ever had or had this season at all. And so 11 of the 14 quarterbacks they've had below average performances. 9 of those quarterbacks have had a bottom third performance up against the Vikings. The Vikings truly make these quarterbacks the worst version of themselves, which is a lovely thing to kind of produce, I think. Obviously, there are some quarterbacks that have just kind of figured it out. Justin Herbert's done a pretty good job in his limited experience against the Flores defense. Jared Goff, like I just mentioned at the beginning of the show, has done an outstanding job. So we'll see kind of how that goes. And then Jalen Hurts just was able to escape a bunch of sacks. That was just a hey man, you squat 600, I guess, kind of game. But yeah, I mean, the thing about the Brian Flores defense is that even though there are some characteristics that are consistently true, hey, there's a bunch of blitzes and there's a bunch of zone behind those blitzes, and there's a bunch of simulated pressures. Not only do the Vikings lead the league in blitz rate, they also lead the league in simulated pressure rate, where they line up 5, 6, or 7 at the line of scrimmage and only rush 4. And which 4 of those could be, who knows, right? So that is a consistent feature, but it is really kind of inconsistent how much they blitz, because they'll blitz anywhere between 30%, which is still high relative to the league, to 75% of stat, which is just, especially if you're if you're a Jackson Dart, you're probably seeing a 70% blitz rate. It's your head is spinning the whole time. So the blitz rate changes, the type of coverages change. So some games they'll run a bunch of cover 3, some games they'll run a bunch of cover 6, a bunch of cover 4. Some games they'll rotate the safeties post snap a lot. So they'll show cover 2 and rotate to cover 1 or cover 3. In some games they don't rotate very much at all because they're hey, the speed problem is a bigger problem than disguise is a solution. So we need to get our safeties to our landmarks. And so it's a lot of really specific game plans. And then this was especially true last year, but we're seeing it this year too. One thing that's really great about the Brian Flores defense is that when they create, like they craft a play, right? They craft a pressure. And they're like, this is how we're going to pressure. The defensive tackles will do, or they don't say defensive tackles. Like, these guys will do this. They'll rush from this angle. This guy's going to drop off into coverage, even though he looks like a blitz or whatever. They have, once they install that, they always seem to ask the question, so what is their most likely response to what we're about to do? And they see what that response is and then play to that, which is how Andrew Van Ginkel got so many picks last year. And it's how the Vikings are creating a lot of forced incompletions this year, because they know what the hot routes are. They know what the adjustments at the line of scrimmage are. And then they put players into those positions to make the first, second, and third answers wrong, which is just outstanding defensive game design. And that's why you don't see like there's been some luck with like the six passing. We've seen, I think, 2 or 3 drops in the end zone. Like, there's been some luck. You know, they've gone for it on fourth down when maybe they should have kicked the field goal sometimes or whatever, right? But like, you don't get there without at least some initial outstanding play to put you in a position where luck is going to let you create like a crazy record like this.
Yeah, I think now that we've got a 3-year sample of the innovation of Brian Flores not wearing off with personnel changes, it stays creative, it stays fresh for the most part. I still think with all of that, all of the articles that have been written, all the praise that's been thrown his way, I still tend to think he's back next year. I don't think that
I think so.
He is going to be heavily sought after. Maybe an interview here or there. I think the legal albatross that hangs over his head it's a liability for the organization that takes him on. I think he's back next year. Anyone disagree?
No, I don't disagree. I think it's a series of unfortunate events as to why that's, happening for him. But I do think that it's just how that works, unfortunately, in the league. And so for Vikings fans, I don't think Brian Flores is going anywhere. I don't think he wants to go anywhere unless it is a head coaching job. So it's like, you know.
Yeah, and I just think that like it takes kind of a lot to create a second chance opportunity, because he didn't do well in Miami, and so owners are going to want to see something additional. And if there's anything kind of pulling that back, it's going to be really tough. Now, it does happen. Like Josh McDaniels, after he pulled out of that Colts job incredibly unprofessionally, still ended up with like another head coaching job in Las Vegas. But like it takes the obstacles for a second chance head coach can't be as significant as there's a pending legal case against the NFL, right? So I think that's going to inhibit things. I think that you're right, Sam, that he'll probably get some phone calls. Again, it would be extremely funny if the Giants called him. I still want that to happen, just so he can tell them absolutely not. I just think that because of all, like, it was a surprise when Mike Tomlin hired him to be on his staff, right, in Pittsburgh in the first place. And so I just think it's uphill battles for him for a while. And right now, especially on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, it's not the top defense in the league, right? Like, he did an outstanding job last year, and that's going to help. But I think, like, you need to have, like, a really top-end defense as a defensive coordinator to get a look. So I think there's a couple of things working against him here.
And I think you need some playoff wins, too. Like, you need something tangible, I feel like, to show for. I mean, obviously, he's not responsible for the entire team itself, but I do think that does play a role. Like, you want somebody that's going to be able – you want to see how people function in the postseason, too.
Yeah.
Yep, against the best of the best. Julia, we're going to respect your schedule because you adapted to this schedule and came on last second. Give us one, in closing, one bold prediction for the Vikings-Lions game.
For the Vikings-Lions game. Okay, I think J.J. McCarthy's going to play.
Yeah,
that is
pretty bold.
Yeah.
Pretty bold. And he's going to throw left-handed?
What? Yeah. I think they're going to give him some steroid shots in that thing, and I think he's going to
play. A left-handed McCarthy they value over a right-handed Brosmer. That would be bold.
Well,
Julia, thank you. Carol Evan, check out her coverage and your social media at Julia Daniels Care.
At Julia D. Daniels. So 2 Ds.
That sneaky initial in there. Appreciate you coming on, Julia.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Arif and I will carry on for one more segment and reminisce about the most hollow Vikings win of all time. More hollow than yesterday. That's next. Do you want to guess what I have at the top of my list, Arif?
I haven't been thinking about hollow victories. This is tough. Maybe the week 18 against the Bears when all the backups were in. They won that game, right? I'm trying to remember.
So there's an assortment of week 17 or week 18
melange.
final games of seasons, particularly in the Zimmer era,
Right.
that all run together for me.
Okay.
You had one in 2014, you had one in 2016, you had one in 2020 and 21. Well, it takes a special circumstance to have a not final game of the season feel this way. It requires two losing teams and probably something significant to happen in that game or the result influence draft position. It all came together.
The 2013 season then?
It came together in 2011.
Oh, so close.
Where Peterson tore his ACL. You blew the number one pick.
This is against Washington?
By beating Washington.
Oh, man.
You lost out on Andrew Luck. You lost Peterson. You didn't know for how long. Turned out to not matter.
I totally forgot they won that game. Toby Gerhardt won a workmanlike performance.
33-26. So clearly the offense, was that a Joe Webb? I think that was a Joe Webb in relief game, adding to the Joe Webb legend.
Of course.
As
the
Vikings,
NFC East killer, Joe Webb.
Improved the Vikings record to 3-12. That, my friend, is the most hollow Vikings win of all time.
Did the 2012 draft have any good quarterbacks in it? Do you know, Sam?
Luck. Andrew
joking.
Luck.
Dog.
Okay. and he proceeded to beat the Vikings in week 2 of that season as well.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. It was all poetic. I've got one honorable mention, and it was the Dan Orlovsky game. The 12-10 win over the
the fact that it was
0-16 Lions.
Barely a win is pretty brutal. But to me, it can't be hollow in retrospect because of all of the Dan Orlovsky memes that have emerged as a product of that game, especially Jared Allen pointing at the back line.
So good.
It's so good.
So good. And you needed the win to make the playoffs, too. You needed to, that team made the playoffs. You had to win all the games you won. 12-10, though.
That's
and
rough.
I think they needed a phantom pass interference call to win that game at the end. It was hideous. A hideous T-Jack Childress performance.
Fair.
For the ages.
Yeah.
They
lost to the Giants in the Monday Night Football Josh Freeman game, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a hollow win. Yeah.
That would have been a hilarious win. So gambling yesterday.
What
Let's
happened?
remind folks, I've climbed out of a $13,000 hole. I won a big parlay 2 weeks ago, and actually
responsibly putting $1,000 in a parlay. Yeah.
Yep. And now I've taken the bet seriously. So now it's touch and go. Like, we're all packed together. Yesterday,
yeah, but who's packed together in front?
Well, we have a new leader. Leader.
Wow, is it you?
His first name rhymes with Sharif, and his last name rhymes with Braun, but it's not Braun. It's Hasan.
Okay.
Arif is up in the lead with $819.66. You lost your first drive touchdown bet, but you got the Jefferson over. So you are leading over the new second place competitor. That's me. I went 2-0. I got the McCarthy.
Was so close to that touchdown, dude. So close.
Yeah, we haven't talked enough about that, how Jordan Addison drops that ball. But I got the J.J. McCarthy under. Feel a little bad about it because obviously it came from injury. I also got the Vikings scoring first and winning. Puts me at $550 and change. So I'm backed by about $270 from you, Arif. And Braun is right on my tail. He went 1-1. He's at $533. Luke Inman is 13,000 behind himself. But as we've demonstrated, that is not insurmountable. 2 weeks left.
Yeah.
How are you feeling, Arif?
I mean, this is obviously just like having like a head-to-head tiebreaker or something like that. Like, yeah, I have a very slight advantage, but it just, if we all, go even on our bets, then yeah, if like we all go like 1-1 on our bets, that yeah, I'll probably win. There's some like peculiarities about who has which bets left that might change that. But it's a very, very slight lead. Having like the head-to-head or whatever, right? And so obviously I just have to lock in and win my bets. I spoke to the team, and we talked about making sure that we take it one bet at a time, focus on each and every individual moment where we lay down a leg. We're not doing parlays, but we like to think of it like it's a bunch of parlays. We want to rack up a bunch of wins on the way there. But to keep the main thing, right? You want to be focused. You want to make sure that you're handling the business side of things, that aspect of it. So
yeah, glad you're focused. I'm gonna suggest that because we are Luke-less, that we hold off on betting today because we're missing half of the competition, and we will text and finalize the bet.
You should explain what happened with Inman though.
Luke Inman did not select last week, so we removed his final 2 medium bets. I docked him the minimum medium and sent him
a mercy
down.
of a punishment, by the way, because you could have knocked the medium.
I could have, and maybe I'll amend to that even. But that knocks him down. It would be really funny if he actually came back to win somehow, and it was
like that was the level of punishment was the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 13 grand in the hole. 6-26 record on the season, and a lot of that's just reckless parlay betting. I'm in the same boat. I mean, I'm 8-24, but I hit my parlay, so I'm right there with you and Braun, and it's going to be heated here down the stretch. Is there anything Lions-wise that piques your interest? The Lions, by the way, lose in excruciating fashion yesterday, which zaps a little bit of the intrigue from this game, but in some ways it actually
adds
makes
to it a little bit.
It makes it a straight up elimination game.
Yeah, like the Vikings
not,
can end their season.
Correct. And it's not as if the Lions will know what the Packers did because they play on Thursday, so you can put the dagger in after the Lions have their guts ripped out. 2 touchdowns nullified on the final possession against Pittsburgh yesterday. I think correctly so. But the final play of the game was hilarious.
It was so funny, and I hated how it was handled for sure. But like, crazy to me that they didn't call forward progress, right? So like, so for people who don't know, what happened was on the final play of the game, it was Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown gets open in the end zone. Jared Goff throws it a little short of the end zone. He has to get out of the end zone to catch it. In order to get open in the end zone, he commits what many would call egregious offensive pass interference. But he catches it ahead of the end zone. 2 Steelers converge, and they prevent him from moving forward. So he gets pushed back 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, no whistle. And as he's getting tackled to the ground, he just kind of lobs it up for the most athletic player on the Lions, Jared Goff, to catch it and run it in, which was an amazing moment, right? He runs it in, it's a score, the officials signal a touchdown, and then it takes 2 hours for us to cut, which I didn't set a timer, but I think I'm right about that. It takes 2 hours for the refs to come back and explain, and they explained it in the worst possible way. They started with, the ruling on the field is a touchdown, and so the crowd goes wild.
Yeah.
There's a penalty on the play. And it was offensive pass interference. And so that takes the touchdown away. And then they further have to explain that when it's an offensive penalty for a play that occurs as time expires, which this one did, you can't run a second play like if it were the other way around, which we see so often in the NFL, where a defensive penalty gives you a free play, an untimed down, right? And so, like, there's a whole thing. But it's like, yeah, that's offensive pass interference. I often do not see that called, that kind of offensive pass. It's usually, a pick on a mesh or something like that, or like a rub route. So you don't usually see that called, but it is offensive pass interference, so I guess I'm glad they called it. But the lack of the lack of the forward progress call, which is not reviewable, right? You can't review for progress. The lack of a call on forward progress there is baffling to me. They picked him up and moved him 5 yards.
Gene Steratore weighed in on this on Twitter and said, my belief is that St. Brown's forward progress stopped with 2 seconds on the clock. And if not for the flag, it would have been a Detroit touchdown, Detroit win. Which is why I'm watching it again right now. He gets pushed back from the goal line to the 7. He's at the 7 when he pitches the ball back to Goff.
That's crazy, dude.
Oh man. Yeah, good for the Steelers. That's a tough place to win. Detroit.
Yeah, but it's Aaron Rodgers. So Mike Tomlin manages another insane 500+ season. He will not die, dude. It doesn't matter how bad his team is.
It's the Adam Thielen effect. The Detroit defense has given up 458 yards per game the last 5. That's a lot of yardage. So something's got to give. Either
Two-Toed Sloth says it was 4th down, so the time of the clock wouldn't have mattered. Think about it like this way. Like, you repeat the down is what I'm saying is what usually happens when a penalty is accepted, unless it's exactly a penalty that incurs a loss of down, like intentional grounding. Like that's why it's important. But that's a good point. It was 4th down. So there's like a lot of, like, if it was forward progress, there wouldn't have been another play. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. And I think Gene was just insinuating that he would have called the forward progress much earlier in the play than the officials did or didn't. Yeah, so Max Brosen were possibly against a defense that's been getting carved for almost 500 yards per game.
Sure.
No Jordan Mason, no Kelly, no Darisaw. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Vikings Lions on Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody. There will not be a Christmas show. But do tune in to Luke Braun on Locked On Vikings. He'll be keeping that feed active with the 30-minute daily edition, giving you your Vikings dose on the #1 sports podcast network. Arif Hasan, happy holidays to you, sir. Thanks for being here today at Arif Hasan NFL and the Wide Left Substack. I'm Sam Ekstrom, and thanks to Julia Daniels for being here as well. Talk to you next time on The Squad Show.